We had an OAC meeting for a project, and the superintendent corrected me in front of the owners, and I was offended.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Elite Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Joel Cabrera, seven-figure journey. Today we have Michael from Boaz Construction. Super excited for this. Very grateful. Thank you for taking the time out, Michael, to be on here first and foremost. And excited to learn more about you, who you are, your origin story, the whole nine yards, and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, what can I tell you? I think the origin story is I was an overeducated trim carpenter and slowly turned that into, over time, a commercial construction company.
What was your transitioning point there? Why did you transition? What did all of that look like? Yeah.
I finished my first bachelor's degree at Indiana State University, and at that point, I traveled the country for a few years doing retail for a top 50 GC in the country. Um, and just living on the road. I remember having my 2 gallon of milk on the air conditioner in the hotel room. And, I was young and I thought, well, there's a lot of time and I think I just want to try something different. So I decided to go back to school and get an engineering degree. And at that point, I was working as a trim carpenter to support myself. And so, again, back into construction while studying computer engineering, which is very similar to electrical engineering. And so started learning programming, starting with the core classes again, physics, math, and uh, again, I got good at it. I was good at it and still trying to find myself, and ended up graduating in 2004. That was post 9/11, not a great job market. And um, I decided I want to start flipping houses. And I remember, I was running ads on Craigslist at the time. Craigslist was a lot different back then. And I would come to your house, I would build cabinets for you, I would finish them in your garage, and I would install them. And I had a client that owned a branding agency, and she traded me a brand, a business card, and a website for a cabinet. And at that point, again slowly transitioned from flipping houses to owning a construction company, which went to built ends and uh, tenant improvement work, and then slowly went into bigger remodeling projects. Kind of still doing one foot was in residential, one foot was in commercial, and over time we started doing bigger projects, and today we are in healthcare, hospitality, industrial, retail, office, and development. And it's been a journey full of. I like to learn things the hard way, but once I learn a good lesson, I learn it. And so, what else could I tell you about that?
Yeah, I mean, so just for some context here, right? So uh, we have a community of seven-figure entrepreneurs, right? Who we serve. Our specialty is regarding leadership development, specifically for these entrepreneurs. A lot of people within our community, their number one issue tends to be around leading their team effectively, right? Becoming these visionary leaders who are, you know, they don't want to struggle with spending all of their time in the business, right? They want to spend more time with their families, right? They don't necessarily have these leadership systems in place, right? So that not everyone's coming to them and for every small decision, and them no longer having to be the bottleneck of the business, right? And all, that's kind of that's our community. Those are kind of like the major challenges that our community faces. Um, and so that's kind of like that's the point of the podcast, could really talk on these kind of things, for example. And hey, not everyone's perfect, right? Maybe a lot of the guests that come on, sometimes they're struggling with some of the same things, right? It is what it is. And so that's kind of some background. I probably should have started with that, and so sorry about that on me.
No worries.
Yeah, maybe as a quick pivot before we dive into kind of those leadership elements, right? What I'm curious about, construction. What inspires you? What drives you? With this business, like what's that why factor for you?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I've always had a peculiar brain on why things are the way they are, why we had to do things, whatever way they were supposed to be done. There's an old adage: there's more than one way to skin a cat, and it turns out that they're actually talking about catfish. But uh, once I'd spent enough time in construction, I realized there was a lot of different ways to do something. There wasn't just one way, and I would constantly question why we're doing it this way. Um, and one of the things, you know, I was a little unique in the fact that I did residential and commercial. And today we don't do residential today. We don't serve that market. But I remember being in a situation where I had recently sort of renovated a beautiful home that I'd purchased and was selling, and I did a shower liner, a pan liner. And in the same week, I was building a new restaurant at the new Indianapolis airport. And the systems just didn't make sense to me. So I started implementing new ways to do that work. And over time, maybe 5 or 6 years, that turned into what's today is a patent pending wall assembly that defends against mold, rust, corrosion. So I think the way I'm wired, what um, is rather than saying I want to do something, build something to last, build something more robust, uh, doing it rather than talking about giving our clients more value, demonstrating that we're giving them more value. Um, I'm fascinated with things that break and fail. It's amazing what water can do to construction, to structural systems, um, and I'm also fascinated with things that last a very long time. Europe, I apologize. I'm just going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Hopefully, you can work your editing magic there. Um,
Yeah, don't worry about that.
if you go to Europe, one of the things that struck me on one of my trips there was everything coming out of the ground for the first 12 feet was stone. And so I'm just really fascinated in how to build an assembly or build a structure correctly so it lasts. I think if I ask myself often, like, why do I like this? I get to create. Um, it may go all the way down back to when I was a kid. There was a picture of a house on the wall. Um, yeah, I'm still trying to uncover that, but did I lose you? There you are.
Okay, yeah. We can always
Um,
edit that part out. No worry.
yeah,
Uh,
really, really building things. Um, given the circumstances, we want to make it as beautiful, and we want to maximize the building science with everything we're doing, given the circumstances.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, that's cool. You have a pending patent. I think that's something lots of people, don't do. But it makes sense with your, engineering background, etc. And so, maybe one of my other questions, which I would be curious with is what do you see Boas Construction being, being in the next 3, 5, 10 years even?
Good question. We continue to evolve. We've gone from the cabinetry, the sort of, what I was striving to be SEAL Team 6 of carpentry and finish work. And we've gone to improving restaurants, improving anything that we're involved in. And now we've transitioned into the industrial market and healthcare. Healthcare is really exciting for me because it's very technical, it's very complex, and a mistake is very costly. And I see a lot of opportunities there. You've got to really understand ICRA, infection control risk assessment. You've got to understand positive air, negative air. There's a lot of responsibility there when you're working in a healthcare facility full of sick people. And I really like that challenge. So I see us improving and increasing our market, the market share for us. And today, we're focused on really building a team of A players, and doubling our revenue, which we have done since in the past, last year to this year. We've reduced our employee count, and we've really pruned the vine down and rebuilt that with better players. And we're focused on, in the past it was about our body of work and showing people what we can do, and today it's about delivering on time construction, which is always challenging, giving more value. And one way we do that is with our wall assembly. And really, I think you can measure success in a company by net profit. So if we have a good culture full of good players that are contributing and all rowing in the same direction, and we look at those other companies and they're no smarter than us, they're no better than us. So we view it as us against us. And so we meet in January, we create an annual plan, we look at the 3-year plan, we look at a 5-year plan. And right now we are focused on our business plan.
Awesome. Beautiful. I would say, and maybe even to pivot before we go, maybe dive a little bit into more of the leadership elements. This on the strictly just giving back, right? I would say giving back in terms of those lessons that you've picked up along the way, maybe to that new entrepreneur who's launching their business for the first time, or maybe for that entrepreneur who's maybe it's just reaching that 7-figure kind of threshold, right? What are some of those kind of key lessons that you've picked up along your path that you think would be really important for for people to kind of know?
Good question. Well, I joined an entrepreneurs organization, EO. I'm sure you've heard of that. I think that's a great organization. It's one of those things where you get into it, you get out of it what you put into it. So there's a lot there. I've made some great lifelong friends that are entrepreneurs. I have a forum. I'm in 2 forums in EO right now. I'm in a construction forum and I'm in a real estate forum. We get to experience share. We get to talk about our issues, the biggest issues that we have, and that's a great environment for really getting to your 5%, the things you can't really talk about with your spouse or with your friends who may not understand those issues. A lot of books. Um, and most recently, um, I was in a forum meeting, and one of my forum mates mentioned, we were talking about mentors, and I've really never had a mentor other than authors or a paid mentor, a paid consultant. And he mentioned an organization called SCORE, which I'd never heard of before. Have you heard of SCORE?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I looked around on there, and I saw someone that could potentially be a fit for um, one of our something we're working hard on here, which is evolved a higher level business development plan. And I reached out, and I plugged into someone really interesting, and we had a really good conversation. I've got a call set up next week. We'll see where that goes. Um, I think it's just getting involved in those organizations where you can either get in a room with like-minded people or people that have been there and done that.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's really important. Having a space of peers that are experiencing some of the same issues you're experiencing and able to, kind of learn from each other. So and thanks for bringing that up because I think that one of the things that tends to go on with even like high achieving people, right, tend to work like in like silos and isolation, right, and tend to and not having that community ends up like just crippling people, just that in itself, right? So definitely having that community component is definitely really important. So thanks for bringing that up. I would say maybe as a final kind of thing here, let's talk about leadership, right?
Yeah.
Um, if you could talk about some of your lessons and stories regarding leadership, leading a team of people, and even bringing up the notion of like different levels, different kind of devils, kind of saying. Maybe so things you've kind of experienced with leadership in the past, as far as lessons and maybe where you're at now, like what are these new challenges of leadership that you're kind of currently experiencing on the level that you're at now? Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I would start by saying I've always felt like a natural leader. I really didn't know what I didn't know. And as, you know, we began to grow and build up our team, I was facing challenges that you know, either did or did not handle the right way. Many of them did not handle the right way. And I remember a situation where we had a superintendent on a project, and uh, we had we had an OAC meeting, okay, for a project. And the superintendent corrected me in front of the owners, and I was offended, right? Um, that really impacted me, and at the time, or actually maybe shortly thereafter, I decided to hire a life coach. I was just trying to be a better person, and the biggest takeaway was sort of checking my ego and being and looking at those meetings as an idea meritocracy rather than feeling like I had to always be the right guy saying the right thing and had to have all the answers. That was probably that was a breakthrough for me. Um, Today, I I want to hear everyone's opinion. We want to hear the best idea. One of our core values here and the way we run our meetings is an idea meritocracy. So, you come into that meeting, you check your ego at the door, and we're just there to try to leave there. The goal is to leave there with the best idea. Like, we talk it out. You've got a better idea. Let's listen to what you have to say. I like that idea, right? So I have I've many years now since I freed myself from that, and I think that began the curiosity with learning more about the brain, how the brain's wired. Books like Dr. Bruce Lipton, uh, great author in my opinion. Um, Good to Great, great book. Just really started digging into a lot of those books about leadership, about how the brain works, understanding um, limited beliefs, understanding how the subconscious is wired versus the conscious, and trying to really see the situation for what it is. And so today, you know, I really value having a smart team. I value having people that are better at things than I'm at, better at lots of things than I am. And today everyone here knows what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. Like, I've got a visionary brain. My brain is not wired for, um, you know, detailed tactician type of operations. Today, I'm 80% of my role is in business development. And I think that journey's different for everyone. Um, and um, I think leading leading by delegating to someone who's the uh, has the most merit for the project is has been working well for us.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing about that. Just being honestly just open about that story. Where that person corrected you, and you kind of realized that was a moment of kind of growth that you needed to work on, and I think that's amazing. And I think that speaks volumes. A lot of people don't check their egos at the door, and aren't open to saying, "Hey, maybe I need to work on this kind of thing, work on myself." So kudos to you. Shout out to you for identifying that. Just as a human being, as a man.
Thank
Um,
you.
and yeah, I mean, I think we could probably even wrap up. I want to be conscious of your time here as well. And so I appreciate you being on. I mean, anything else that you feel like would be valuable for just the general audience? Yeah.
For me, it's anytime I see something out there about entrepreneurship and how hard it can be, uh, and there's the cartoon or the graphic of the guy, two tunnels, one guy's chipping for gold, and he hits it, and the guy below him is this close, and he gives up. Those always resonated with me. I think weathering storms and grit is probably one of my superpowers. Not giving up, um, making adjustments, and you're going to go through some tough times, and those are tests to see if you really want it. And I think it's good to be reminded that the sun comes up tomorrow. And for those guys that are out there struggling, I've been there, and I think it's just part of the journey.
Yeah. I mean, thanks for saying that. Yeah, never giving up. I think that's also a good image as well. It's funny. You said this a few minutes ago about many ways to skin a cat. I also didn't know that that was from the catfish,
Yeah,
and it makes sense. It makes sense that it's with a catfish because you skin a fish. You know,
nobody's skinning cats. Yeah,
nobody's skinning cats. Yeah. That's hilarious. Cool. So
yeah.
that was a cool little takeaway right there as well. Michael, it was a pleasure, having you on the show. Thank you so much. Maybe, speaking of community, we host these quarterly events, primarily in Utah and in Arizona. Lots of, very bright, successful entrepreneurs come there in all different types of industries and fields. I'm sure you would definitely enjoy meeting, tons of people there. I'll send you information about that if anything after
Great.
this.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and once again, just thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and to everyone tuning in, where can people find you?
Yeah, they can find us at www.buildboaz.com. We're in Indianapolis. We're pretty easy to find here, and if feel free to reach out.
All right, Michael, it was a pleasure. Everyone that's tuning in, thank you, and until next time.
Thanks, Joel.